This meeting to order. Oh, here we go. I'm going to call this meeting of the East Gloucester Veterans Memorial School Building Committee to order. This meeting is recorded by video and audio in accordance with the open meeting law, consistent with the governor's orders suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and banning certain gatherings such that an in-person meeting of the school building committee is not possible. This meeting will be conducted by remote participation. The public may not physically attend this meeting, but every effort will be made to allow the public to view and to listen to the meeting in real time. That being said, Yash, could we have a roll call for attendance?
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Jonathan Pope.
Here.
Thank you. Ben Lemus.
Here.
Thank you. Katie Clancy.
Here.
Thank you. Richard Safar.
Here.
Thank you. Matthew Fusco.
Here.
Thank you. Amy Pascarello.
Here.
Thank you. Grant Harris.
Here.
Thank you. John Dunn.
Here.
Thank you. Gary Frisch.
Here.
Thank you. Caitlin Nunes.
Here.
Thank you. Adam Russell.
I don't see him.
All right. Tony Gross.
Here.
Thank you. Did I miss anybody?
Stacy.
Stacy Capone.
Here.
Thank you.
So we have a quorum, very good attendance, and must be that summer's over, I guess. People are back to work. So the first order of business is the approval of the minutes of August 11th, 2022. Are there any corrections or omissions? Okay.
I
seeing-
move that we approve the minutes.
Okay. Second. Roll call vote. Yes.
Jonathan Pope.
Yes.
Thank you. Ben Lemus.
Yes.
Thank you. Katie Clancy.
Yes.
Thank you. Richard Safar.
Yes.
Thank you. Matthew Fusco.
Yes.
Thank you. Amy Pascarello.
Yes.
Thank you. Grant Harris.
Yes.
Thank you. John Dunn.
Yes.
Thank you. Gary Frisch.
Yes.
Thank you. Caitlin Nunes.
Yes.
Thank you. Tony Gross.
Yes.
Thank you. Stacy Capone.
Yes.
Thank you.
It passes unanimously. Thank you very much. And the next order of business is the approval of invoices, and I will hand it over to Brian.
Thank you, Jonathan. All right, here, yeah, same invoices as we typically have each month. We have the invoice from WT Rich, requisition number 13 for the month of August. Covers the construction work in August, encompassing, really all major stages of the building. That's an amount of $2,995,374. We have an invoice from Doran Whittier, invoice number 40, in the amount of $90,380. That's for their construction administration work and also some reviews of LED documents that we'll need for the certification. We have an invoice from CBRE, invoice number PJIN 0032018 for $60,000. That's for the month of August for our project management services. And finally, the fourth invoice from UTS, invoice number 101322, in the amount of $1,430. And that was for their on-site testing for the soils and some of the air and vapor barrier.
Okay, are there any questions? Okay, seeing none. I'll make a motion that we approve the 4 invoices as presented from WT Rich, Doran Whittier, and CBRE and UTS for a total amount of $3,147,184, and I so move.
Second.
There we go. Second. Okay, it's moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, once again, I can't see everybody, so just speak up. But hearing none, I will ask Yash to, for a roll call vote.
Jonathan Pope,
Yes.
thank you. Ben Lemis,
Yes.
thank you. Kitty Clancy,
Yes.
thank you. Richard Safar,
Yes.
thank you. Matthew Fusco. Matthew Fusco,
Yes.
thank you. Amy Pescarello,
Yes.
thank you. Grant Harris,
Yes.
thank you. John Dunn,
Yes.
thank you. Gary Frisch,
Yes.
thank you. Caitlin Nunes,
Yes.
thank you. Tony Gross,
Yes.
thank you. Stacy Capone,
Yes.
thank you.
It passes unanimously. That being said, we'll go back to the updates.
Yep.
And,
My screen back up here.
yeah.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Okay.
All right, so you can see the building's coming along nicely. We're actually getting this air and vapor barrier all the way around the building now. And starting to look almost like a little bit of a spaceship, I guess, with all that silver. But the project continues to track well. We're tracking on schedule and on budget. We've been finishing up the building exterior as well as the interior framing and the rough-ins on the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing work. This is really kind of a great time to see the building up close because you can gain appreciation for the amount of work that goes into the finished product. There's a high level of coordination both on the inside work and the outside work, and you kind of can see that whole spectrum of it right now. Building B is also making good progress, and over the next few months, it's going to be catching up with Building A. We have had some material delays on a few different items, but WT Rich has been able to coordinate the work activities to be able to accommodate some of those delays. So we're very appreciative of some of those things. As far as the team activity goes, things continue to be good. Everyone's working well together, and that's really been key to the success of this project so far. Everyone's trying to do their best and collaborate in order to provide good results. WT Rich hosted a little luncheon for the on-site workers last week. So that was also a nice thing to kind of get together and celebrate the progress we've made so far and build relationships. So we appreciate that. As far as our roles go, I mean, they're pretty much the same as last month. The building's coming together, we're about ready to start finishes. Like I say, we are tracking on time and on budget. So if we switch to some of the financials here, we have now included the change orders that were approved last month. So this bumped up the construction costs of the job, but the funds were able to be covered by the resources that we've set aside for the construction contingencies. And we continue to maintain a healthy amount of these contingencies for where we are to date in the progress of the work, despite a lot of the challenges that we faced with market conditions. And, I think, again, this is really on behalf of the team working well together during the planning and design and construction phases, really all of those things combined. But we've also been fortunate that we haven't been hit by any major disruptions so far. So kind of knock on wood, hopefully we'll be continuing that way.
Hey, Brian,
Yes.
so just, sorry, on the contingency, could you just, hard for me to track that?
So here are the remaining contingencies. This is what's been used up so far.
Okay, all right, so 6% of the project remains in contingency, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And excuse me, Brian, the MBE/WBE, the goal versus the actual, could you clarify what that distinction is, please?
Yes, so these numbers have not changed for the past few months since all the contracts have been awarded. But these were the goals that were in the light green. They were the goals that were set at the beginning of the project. And this is what we've actually been able to achieve. So this is for the total project, and this was broken down by the design team and the contractors team. So design team, it's a little different. I mean, they have, certain partnerships that they usually work with over and over again. And so sometimes getting the right dollar amount from an MBE firm is a little more challenging for them.
And does, I'm sorry, does the distinction between the 11.2 and the 16.4, does that lead towards the contingency? Is that the different, what's making up the
No,
differential?
I'm sorry. So this is the percentage participation in minority-owned and women-owned businesses. So based on the total dollar amount of the project, we were able to award for the whole project 16.4% of the total dollar value of the contracts going towards those minority and women-owned business enterprises. Does that make sense? Okay.
And sorry, Brian, one more question on that. I just remind us, please, in terms of the light green, the goals, those are those state goals? Or
yeah, those are goals that are established at the beginning of the project by the state at the time that the contracts are set.
okay, got it. Great. Okay.
So moving on to our contracts, this area here is pretty much the same as last month. The PCO number that we have here, I mean, it continues to vary week by week, but it's been hovering around the same number. And the PCOs, I mean, we have both cost increases as well as credits to the job in that category. So as we move through the work, we're always looking to recoup any costs from changes on unnecessary items, to keep the construction costs as low as possible. But of course, we're also, fully willing to pay for any fair changes for any additional work that needs to be done to the job. But just try to avoid any unnecessary expenditures to keep it clean and, not increase the costs and create a burden for the taxpayers. In terms of cash flow, the billings continue.
Brian, just a second. Stacy has a question. She raised her hand.
Sure, sorry.
Hi, Brian, back to the previous, the goals. So we haven't met the designer goals though, right? Is that a concern?
No, that's just kind of what we're able to achieve. So they are goals that are set. And, when those contracts were awarded, which was earlier on the job, kind of before I was even part of this, those were the goals that were set, I guess, and that's basically what we're able to accomplish.
Okay. Do you foresee us meeting that, or it's not like a concern though, right?
No, and yeah, there won't be any really changes with that at this point. So, we're talking about design services that are set up. Design services were set up years ago on this project. So the architect was brought on, and then the architect goes out to pull together their team of consultants. And as I stated before, it's just a little more challenging for them to be able to find, maybe Brad's here, Brad could speak to this, but to be able to find, the right consultants and engineering teams that meet all those criteria.
I can.
Right.
So the challenge ultimately is, right, at this time, this contract was that they are goals, right? They're not requirements. And the requirement here was to have, for an MBE and WBE, it's a majority ownership of that particular company has to be either, a woman or a minority, right, to meet that minority owned business requirement. And honestly, it's just like really hard to find, right, those types of companies in Massachusetts that are qualified to be able to do the work. So I don't think it's uncommon. We've done the best job that we could here to be able to do that.
Okay,
And, it's based on finding those people for the requisite discipline and then their dollar value in the overall cost of, the design of the project. So, we're always trying to do better, but it's a very difficult thing to go and meet. So, it's changing in terms of how it's being approached a little bit now, in that, it's actually, instead of the ownership criteria, which is still out there, we're also looking now at the actual hours that are being committed to a job, right, by minorities and women as part of the overall project team. And so not on this project, because it wasn't initiated when this project started. New projects going forward are being tracked under that criteria as well. And it's a very different beast because of the ownership criteria versus, people actually working on the job. So
Right.
I hope that's helpful.
yes, thank you for that clarification.
Yeah, and so to add to what Brad said, so on the construction end, what's helpful is, there are some very large contracts that are awarded, and when one of those goes to an MBE or a WB organization, that boosts the number significantly. So it's not necessarily that you have, 100 different contracts and 16% of those 100 contracts are awarded. It has to do with the dollar amount. So, we were fortunate to have some large contracts that were awarded to minority and women business enterprises, and that helped us to exceed the goals on the construction side. And like Brad said, it's these goals that are set are the ownership. So the reality is that to look, let's say, at the designer, you can be working with a company that is owned by someone that's not a minority or female, but yet the people that you're working with on that project are, and that's not reflected in those numbers. So, any other questions on that? Okay. So on the cash flow, it's really not too much to report. Our cash flow continues to be high because we're getting a lot of work done on the job right now. So there's activities, as I mentioned before, both on the outside and the inside, all areas of the building. So the train is really moving down the track. So next slide is just broken down again by the different team members. And then here we are with the schedule. So we're about 50% of the way through the construction project at this point. And overall, we're about 2/3 of the way through this. Really amounts to a 7.5-year process. So as I noted earlier, there is a significant amount of work that goes into these projects. It's not just, assembling the building with materials coming, just from our local areas, but, we're bringing in pieces that come from across the country and even nowadays from across the world. So trying to manage all those things, especially with the challenges we have with shipping and ports being closed, factories shut down, from initial planning all the way through to bring those together is quite a task. But we're on the right trajectory for the project, and I think we have a solution here that will really fit well within the community and meet the needs of the students and the staff. And also, we're still meeting the constraints of the budget and the schedule. So it's been great to be part of this process. So just on the schedule, just as a note, I think a lot of people are done with their vacations, but we have our next school building committee meeting on the 13th of October. So if you could make a note of that. Moving on here. As far as the OPM, so we get into some of the specifics, what each of us have been doing. The OPM continues to operate much of the same as before. We've been working through a lot of the project financials to determine opportunities for further enhancing the school through possibly being able to add back some various items while also managing the current cost and keeping all the accounting sheets balanced. It's community relations continue to remain strong as well. We haven't had any issues. We continue to send out notices. There's one just went out today for delivery that's happening tomorrow. But now that the building's kind of getting closed up, the disruptions to the neighborhood overall will be, well, they will continue to diminish. As far as the design team goes, their work on the project continues to move along with the FF&E. That's the furnishings, fixtures and equipment selection process. So we have updated our project schedule to show that, and then that's all included in your packets. So we have the milestones. Sample furniture is going to be showing up soon at both the vet school and East Gloucester schools. And we'll be holding weekly meetings. I think the invitations went out for that maybe yesterday or today for the coordination decision-making. So that's exciting too, because not only are we're getting the whole building together, but now we're starting to move ahead with getting it furnished and to get it ready for the students and the staff to move in. Let's see here. So this is just an example from our updated OPM schedule where you can see all the FF&E milestones that we're tracking against. So, and we've started this process earlier than normal because of the long material lead times. So we shouldn't have an issue getting all this stuff ordered and in the school before opening day. So moving on to CM, things continue to be good. The CM continues to manage the site safety well, handling deliveries and scheduling and the overall work and accounting of all the subcontractors. It does encompass a significant amount of people. On a typical day right now, there are anywhere between 50 and 100 people on the job site. And we track all those numbers. Those are sent to you in your weekly updates. And then, of course, there's a lot of other people that are not on the site that are working behind the scenes in the offices to get all this work accomplished. Invoices from the workers and suppliers, there's a lot of dollar amounts that are being tracked as well that, that CM is managing millions of dollars per month. So all of that stuff also has to get sorted out and accounted for, oftentimes negotiated, and keeping those business relationships good so that the project keeps on moving forward. So as I said before, we're continuing to track on schedule. So if we look at these milestones here, some of them we do finish ahead of time. Some of them we finish maybe a little bit behind, but overall, the work continues to track to the schedule. So, and these variations are typical that, sometimes you run into things that happen on the job, but WT Rich has done a good job of accommodating whatever delays have happened and keeping the overall project on schedule. So here's the schedule updates with some a little more specifics about where we stand on each of those items. And I can turn it over to WT Rich to walk you through. This month, we'll be doing the open space as we've done before. So it'll be a nice opportunity, as I mentioned before, to see some of the things that are going on inside the building and the level of complexity that you'll see on all the systems. So I'll stop sharing here. And Alex, can you pick up?
Sure. I need access. Currently disabled at the moment.
Actually, before Alex
Thanks, Maria.
Before Alex gets started, I just want to let everybody know that we're looking to schedule a tour on site. We're planning for the week of September 19th. In the afternoon, it'll be about 2:30 or 3 p.m. invitations will go out for that. So if there are any days that you definitely, won't work for you, feel free to shoot me an email and let me know. And we can take those into consideration so that we can try to accommodate everyone as best as possible.
Brian, I think we're targeting Monday, ideally, so.
Okay. Okay.
So we'll send out an email tomorrow. It'll be, go to all SPCs about Monday, the 19th at 3:30 PM.
Excellent.
And all school committee members and school building committee members are invited. Yeah. And it'll come from Jonathan Pope and myself. Although I think I'm drafting it.
Thanks, Ben.
All right, so this is the program that Brian mentioned, open space. You guys have seen it a few times now throughout the project. So I just wanted to kind of give you I'm sure everyone has probably seen it from the street right now. So I just wanted to kind of start there. As you can see, as Brian mentioned, the AVB, which is the air vapor barrier, going up on B building now. So it's that silver sort of aluminum foil material that you see being wrapped on the B building. And then we actually have started to clean the brick, which is a pretty normal process of ours once we get the brick actually installed. So I did kind of want to show you the juxtaposition of sort of quote unquote dirty brick or brick that hasn't been cleaned yet. And then as you move closer, you can see just how nice the brick looks, once it's been cleaned and scraped and whatnot. So you can see the temporary windows that we've placed within these openings. They're fire rated tarps just to kind of allow us to begin the finishes within the building. And I'll just kind of rotate quickly around the site and then get into the building as well. So we're standing sort of at the back turf area. You'll see that this is the turf. You got the playground on either side of the turf. And then this is where that sort of running track bus loop mix comes into play. So we're actually getting ready to place binder next week. So that's kind of a nice next step for us. It's going to tidy up the site quite a bit, but you can kind of see how clean some of these roadways are starting to get now that we're fine grading and getting ready for that binder. So again, just sort of back view for those of you that probably haven't seen this side. Again, you can see the brick going up. Brick's been cleaned on this side, bricks going up on this side. We've got the AVB. This is sort of a metal wall panel infill here. And then this is a large curtain wall, 3-story curtain wall. We actually just got material for today that we'll start installing. So I'll just work to the east side before we get into the building, just to kind of see how the gym's taking shape with some of those large openings. Yep.
Sorry, last one question. When you mentioned binder, can you explain what do you mean by the binder?
Yes. Sorry, Ben, binder is basically the base coat of the asphalt pavement. So 2 layers of asphalt. We'll do the binder course at 1.5 inches, and then we'll come in over the top. Sort of the last thing we'll do is put that last 1.5 inches of top coat asphalt on. So again, the binder just really kind of helps us kind of keep the site clean, but it's also a necessary step in order to get the final asphalt in place at a later date.
And just sorry, is the binder that first coat, or is that?
It's like consider like a primer coat or a first coat of the asphalt. Yep.
Great, thank you very much.
Sure. So let me move inside. I'll go to the 3rd floor since that's the most furthest along per our schedule. And I brought you down these corridors before. It's obviously getting more enclosed, obviously, as the project goes along. You can see the framing's 100% complete at this point. A lot of these orange spray paints that you'll see, are not only for blocking, getting in-wall blocking in place, but also, labeling devices on the ground. So you can actually see, one of our milestones was starting drywall this week and into next week to start. So we're actually, right on track to start boarding up some of these walls. The building inspectors have been through. We all kind of get on the same page in terms of what they want to see before we close up these walls. We've actually had a lot of our rough MEP inspections, which is basically, confirming that, wires in place, ducts installed correctly, piping's been terminated properly and whatnot. So a lot of that's already been conducted on the 3rd floor. We've tested our fire protection lines as well. And we'll continue to move down 2nd floor to 1st floor, as the project progresses. So hopefully by the 19th, when you guys are on site, it'll kind of give you a nice insight into what some of these rooms look like, somewhat finished with the drywall on, but also some unfinished with the framing on some of the lower levels. So again, just kind of walking you through here. You can see the porthole windows that Doran Whittier is incorporated into the design. This is a large extended learning space with that curtain wall that I mentioned earlier. So kind of a really nice big space for extended learning. We've got stairwells. I'll work my way down sort of towards B building. End of corridor. And this is where the elevator will be. So I won't bring you to 2nd and 1st because I think you guys have seen it for the most part. But again, you can kind of see the development of how this 3rd floor is going, and obviously how it's going to progress over the next few weeks into really getting the finishes going. So I'll move to B building just to kind of show you where we're at with some of these larger open spaces. So actually, this was after a pretty decent rainstorm over the weekend and into Monday. So we don't have a roof over the media center yet. This is the media center area, but we're pushing for that roof because that obviously allows us to continue with some of the more moisture sensitive activities below. So again, gigantic windows into the media center. You can see the glue lamb that I think I showed you guys a month or so ago as well. Kind of cross over that 2nd, mezzanine level of the main lobby. You can see just how gigantic the space is with the glue lambs and the steel. That'll be painted and exposed in various capacities. And then you get into the gym with the large windows as well. It's kind of our lay down area right now for the larger studs. And then over the course of the next few weeks, we'll start getting these studs up in place, following a similar sequence to A building, getting the studs up, and then obviously getting the rough MEP stuff to follow into finishes. So we're looking at the stage right now, or the platform that'll be constructed and framed out over the next few weeks. That's kind of the general building tour. Obviously, you guys will see a lot more in the next week or so when you're on site, but I'd be happy to answer any questions if there were any.
I'll just make a comment that brick looks absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it does. It's really nice.
So Alex, John Dunn here. So the glue lambs, are they going to be stained, or are they just going to be natural as they are?
John, they have 2 layers of clear sealer on them now.
Okay.
And I believe, Brad, correct me if I'm wrong, the intent is to leave them as sealed and not
Right.
stained.
Correct.
Any other
Alex,
questions?
yeah, I had a question on the that picture you were just showing where the glue lamb was. Is it staying that corrugated in between? Is
No,
that-
that'll get an infill of acoustical ceiling panels.
Okay.
Yep.
Looks great.
It's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's really a nice design. So I'll stop
All right.
sharing and kick it back to you, Brian.
Yep, that's pretty much all I have for everyone, unless there's anything that anyone else would like to bring up.
Amy?
I just want to say, Matt and I were able to let some teachers go in the building on the first day of school, and they were thrilled. They were like
cool.
giddy, standing in their little spots, taking pictures of themselves and what their office or their classroom will be. So the excitement is building. So thank you for that.
Cool. All right.
Okay,
Sorry, John, there's just a couple things I want to,
Okay.
actually, so I mentioned the tour, everyone get invites for that, but also, as importantly, on Tuesday at 6:30 PM, this Tuesday, the 13th, 6:30 PM. This has been on social media and stuff, but and our website, but we're having our naming night, which is a so we've announced the 10 semifinalist names that are a fantastic nominations committee, which is being supported by Matt Fusco and Amy Pasquarello and 4 staff members. The student nominations committee has presented to the school committee the 10 semifinalist names. We're having a public event on Tuesday, the 13th at 6:30 at the East Gloucester cafeteria. To help anybody who wants to stop by to talk to the students about the names that are the semifinalists. Ask them how they, how they think about them and what they like about those names, and then give input and written input or online input. And folks, we have a forum that's very active in terms of folks giving input already, and I think close to 400, maybe more than 400 responses already in terms of people giving input on the various names. So have a great selection. The students narrowed the names down from 51 submissions, and we have a bunch of good options, a lot of good options, and people are pretty excited about it. So please, I hope to see school building committee members there to support the students and talk to them about the 10 semifinalists, and of course give your input as well. So hope to see that on Tuesday.
All right. Excuse me, Ben, John Dunn. So the tour invitations are going to go out to the mayor and the city council also? I may have missed that.
No, it's at this point, school committee, and school building committee. If we are interested in doing one for city council and mayor as part of school committee, if we want to do city council, we can do it at a different time. We were just trying to not overwhelm the crew, but we're happy to do one for city councilors as needed.
That's fine. Yeah, we'll just keep that in mind then. Okay.
Great. We'll talk to the mayor about that and move on that as needed, definitely. And the invitations, folks, are emails. I don't know, like, 2-color embossed invitations. You're getting an email, okay? Lower expectations here a little bit.
Well, then I'm not coming.
I know you're a busy man, John, so you got to make your choices.
And I just wanted to add, I think it's great that, the elementary students get to be involved in the naming, and, having all of this involvement from the students and the community is great. And I thought maybe we could also mention that, we're also working with the high school to be involved with this project as well. The high school will be building 2 of the sheds for the school building, and they're going to be starting that work now in the fall. And we're also looking to incorporate some other learning activities here for students. We're looking to do something with the electrical students and possibly some others as well. So it's nice to use this, not only this building, being constructed to serve the community, but even throughout the process, there are educational opportunities and opportunities for other community involvement to be part of this project. So it's nice that it can really do a lot of things all at once.
Yes, absolutely true, Brian. I really want to thank you, Alex, and then also John Rich, supporting our efforts to include especially our high school students. John's also been really helpful in connecting with our new Career Evoke Tech education director around just maybe some longer term partnerships with some of the statewide organizations. So John, thanks for that, for reaching out to us about that and for already throwing in with us. So it is a great way to include our students, and then also a great jumping off point for longer term partnerships. So yeah, really, really appreciate it. 100%.
Great. All right. So that's all I have.
Okay, I just, our request to the traffic changes on Webster Street are been incorporated in the overall reassessment and recertification of all of the traffic rules, and that's winding its way through the city council. I think it's going before O&A in the near future. I haven't received any requests for further explanations, so I will just wait and see on that one. Okay.
And the easement, I think, is also going to be going to city council, right?
Yeah. Yeah, all the easements go through city council, so.
Is that maybe this week or next week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, anything else before we adjourn? That's the case. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
There we go. Yes, can we have a roll call vote?
So Jonathan Pope,
Yes.
thank you. Ben Lemus,
Yes.
thank you. Katie Clancy,
Yes.
thank you. Richard Safar,
yes.
thank you. Matthew Fusco,
Yes.
thank you. Amy Pescarello,
Yes.
thank you. Grant Harris,
Yes.
thank you. John Dunn,
Yes.
thank you. Gary Frisch,
Yes.
thank you. Caitlin Nunes,
Yes.
thank you. Tony Gross,
He may have left. He's got to go to BNF.
Stacy Capone,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay, the meeting's adjourned, and thank you all very much, and enjoy your weekend, and look forward to the tour.
Right. Thank you guys.
Thanks, guys. Nice seeing you all again.
Night, everyone.
Thanks.
Good
Brian.
night.